Hello and good morning to you. This is Cliff Grays from Train Well Boxing. From a very rainy morning here in the UK. So, there's lots I want to talk to you about this morning. But I just want to clarify one point. That we have purposefully kept these broadcasts, whether audio or not, as gravelly as possible, as unrehearsed as possible, in the attempt to make them as honest and informative as we can. It looks like in all probability we're going to have to join the rest, as it were, and have all these bells and whistles videos and all sorts, which aren't necessarily espousing common sense, but they get the subscribers and they get the views. But don't write off Train Well Boxing, because what we give you is from the heart. We're not trying to lead you up a garden path, and we're certainly not charging you any money. So that must serve us well in being genuine in what we say to you. So I'm responding really to the ugly, toxic comments of a certain individual, which I'm not going to name and shame you. So there, you don't have to be concerned, but I'm not naming and shaming you. However, I am entitled to my opinion and I'm going to give it. This person was saying boxing, wear your padded pillow thingies on your hands and all the rest of it. Well, firstly, let's deal with my experience. I had double digits bouts, tournaments in the ring. I had well up into the 40s. So I don't think that makes me a novice. I think that semi shows and reveals that I know a little bit about what I'm saying. And unfortunately, sadly, I have encountered street violence. Now, what I was saying before in previous videos is you have sport, you have martial arts, you have self-defense, and you then have street fighting. But all of the techniques, most of the techniques learned are relevant. A Muay Thai elbow, for example, is going to be an elbow that you deliver in a self-defense situation, maybe. So, you cannot say, oh, we'll teach you all these weird and wonderful techniques. When on the other hand, you're saying we teach you simplicity. When you've got to categorize, is it street fighting or is it self-defense? We're parking martial arts and sport fighting. That's parked. We're now discussing street fighting and self-defense. Is there a difference? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. The street fight is avoidable. The self-defense situation is not. Hence described as self-defense, defending one's self. And what I was saying was that in the situation which I've had, sadly, of having 3 attackers onto one, that in this situation are not armed. The sad reality of it all is an unprovoked attack with 3 attackers coming at you is, in all probability, they will be armed, because that's the nature of what is going to happen to you or could happen to you. You don't think they're going to be armed, but I'm just giving you an example. They will come at you in like a horizontal format, if you can understand what I'm trying to say. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Now, we've ruled out all of this being able to have it on your toes and run away, because I actually believe a lot of self-defense should get you used to running away, training the 400 meters so you can have it on your toes. But this is a situation you could have your elderly mother there. You've just finished Christmas shopping. You're going back to your parked car, and then from the darkness, 3 hoodlums appear in front of you. Now they are going to come at you 3 abreast. So, you know, in a split second, it's going to go physical. You know that. You could run away. You've got a chance to run away, but that leaves your elderly mother there to take the brunt of it. In this situation, they're not armed. I guarantee you they will come at you 3 abreast in a horizontal format. Now, I have learned this from very, very experienced self-defense combatives. Okay, so I know it comes from good source. You reorienteer yourself so that the 3 that was coming at you horizontally are now lined up almost in single file. You've already picked which side you're going to go, to the left or to the right, which person you're going to strike first. And you reorienteer yourself around, and you preemptive strike with everything you've got, the first one, as hard as what you can. You're an orthodox fighter, so in this case it's a right cross that connects with their jaw, as hard as you possibly can. All this is done in seconds, in blinks of the eye. So you twat the first one because you reoriented round, and now, as opposed to having three come at you in a horizontal format, they're now lined up in like an assembly line formation. You have hit this person so hard that they have gone down and they're KO'd. Now, much can happen, really. There's many variations that can happen here. If they was armed, one could draw out a knife, the other one could draw out a knife, the first one could have drawn out a knife, but we're not talking about armed. We're not talking about armed, we're talking unarmed as an example only. The other two might think, stuff this for a game of chess. We're only after the Christmas presents. Let's have it on our toes. Whilst the other one that was KO'd is now recovering, scrambling to his feet, and he runs off as well. Or the threat continues. Now, what I'm saying is, because this happens in a milliseconds, blink of an eye, it is so fast, it is so rapid. Of course, running away and using situational awareness and all that, we know all about that. But that has failed and that hasn't worked on this occasion. So you're faced with having to deal physically with the three. Otherwise, you're going to get turned over right in front of your mother and your Christmas presents are going to get stolen. You might not necessarily have enough time. We're now looking at the example of the other two still continuing to attack. It's just an example only. You might not have enough time, everybody, to recalibrate yourself to continue with an attack on the second attacker. And this is where I think bridging the gap comes to the fore. The quick, rapid, dynamic, not necessarily KOing force and power of the Wing Chun chain punching could buy you enough time to either come in and claim the other guy and use the other attacker as a barrier against the third one that's trying to attack you. But it's speed, and it's reactional speed coupled with power, instantaneous KO power. Do you honestly think any of these, some of them are alive, some of them sadly are not, but do you think any of these fighters would have had a problem KOing an attacker? George Foreman, Earnie Shavers, Mike Tyson, Sonny Liston, Rocky Marciano, Jack Dempsey. Do you honestly think that if they twatted General Joe square on the jaw, then they're not going to put him flat out on his back. Somebody like George Foreman, protecting his mother in this situation. Do you honestly think, do you honestly expect listeners to take on board what you're saying as the truth? Of course not. Of course not. Point I am making here is this. If we now reintroduce the martial arts and the sport aspect and superimpose it into self-defense, who is you as this so-called self-defense expert can tell me that a left hook, a right uppercut from Marciano, or a left uppercut or whatever, right uppercut from Mike Tyson, or a right cross or whatever from Foreman or Earnie Shavers, preemptively is not going to do the job. Because I think anybody listening to this with half a brain cell would say, well, I wouldn't like to have faced Earnie Shavers out on the street. So yes, boxing does have a place within self-defense, just the same as Muay Thai. If you're a Muay Thai fighter and you've been hammering the palm trees day after day, week after week, month after month, elbowing, and in this situation, the attacker, one of the attackers, is elbowed. Do you honestly think that that is not going to be an effective format of self-defense? We all understand sport is sport, right? And a martial art is a martial art. And we all understand when you get up into the ring and there's floodlights on, there's a referee, there's judges, there's your seconds in the corner, you've got your protective groin protector on, you've got your gum shield in, and all of a sudden it goes, seconds out, bing, and you're fighting away, you get in close where grappling would occur. The referee says, break, step back, box. And, you know, we understand that. We understand that. But nevertheless, if you're coming up against any of those aforementioned, and there's more, you've got the Julian Jacksons, you've got Triple G, you've got all of that lot, which most professional fighters and amateur fighters could deliver horrendously hard punches. And I've had that. And I can tell you, boxing works. Now we're talking about trying to get this to the nearest reality. Well, wasn't it Dempsey that used to have bare knuckle fights? Tyson has had his fair share of street fights. Street fighting and self-defense are different, but again, we can take the things from street fighting and adopt them into self-defense. Look at Fairbanks, the Fairbanks system, the father of all self-defense systems. It was nasty, it was vicious. I've had to bite people in self-defense situations, bite them on the finger, the hand. I've had to headbutt people. What I'm saying to you is that when we now look at martial arts, they form a basis. They form a basis on applicable self-defense. They do. And so does the sport of Muay Thai. What is it? The hardest one, I think it's called Lethway. Is it Lethway? It's harder. It's the Burmese style of Thai boxing. Lethway, I think it's called, and they use the head. They use the head. The bare knuckle pugilists. Are you trying to tell me that Sonny Liston, for example, getting involved in bare knuckle fighting, he's not going to be able to twat an attacker hard? Because this is what you're forgetting. So self-defense, when we're looking at the real physical part of it, has to be looked at holistically. We have to stop the bickering and we have to embrace all the good things, the speed and power and accuracy of boxing, the devastating elbows of Muay Thai, the application and why of a Wing Chun blast, straight blast. The techniques of Shotokan, for example, teaching you when somebody is coming from behind, certain techniques to use. And like Fairbanks taught all the combat fighting in the World War II. And it was no frills, do it, get it done, get it over. But there was a lot of it which was incorporating and taking on certain aspects of Kung Fu. I did say to you, these are unrehearsed, that's just the missus. She just rings me when she gets to work safely, so that's good. Rather than trying to throw stones at other methodologies, we should look at the good rather than the bad. This is Cliff Graves from Train World Boxing. I hope you've enjoyed this. You have a great day. Ciao.